Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, thank you all for coming out. My name is Carrie Steele, and I am President of the Board of Commissioners at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. Thank you, President Preckwinkle and Superintendent Killing from the Cook County Department of Transportation and Highways for joining us today, along with our mayors and township leaders. At this point, I would like to take or observe a moment of silence. Yesterday, we lost one of our fearless leaders on the West Side and one of our colleagues and friend, Cook County Commissioner Dennis Deere. Can everyone please take a moment of silence? Thank you. I would also like to recognize the Board of Commissioners, or the commissioners here today. I'll start with our Vice President, Teresa Flynn. Also, we have Commissioner Mariana Sparopoulos. We have Commissioner Yumika Brown, Commissioner Precious Brady Davis, Commissioner Ada Corral Sepulveda, Commissioner Daniel Pogoszelski, and of course I need to acknowledge our Commissioner, Cook County Commissioner Tara Stamps. I would also like to acknowledge our Executive Director, Brian Perkovich, and our engineering department that is working diligently to implement stormwater management projects across Cook County. As the summer heat rises, chances of heavy downpours increase. Although we cannot always predict the size and intensity of the storms, we can take steps to better prepare ourselves. At the MWRD, our stormwater management efforts include, but are not limited to, watershed planning, hundreds of stormwater management projects, gray and green infrastructure, 33 stormwater detention reservoirs, over 110 miles of deep tunnel, and 3 huge reservoirs. We have introduced a wide range of strategies to address stormwater management and flooding. And today, we're highlighting 26 new stormwater management projects throughout Cook County, the Stormwater Management Project Implementation Program, of which 16 MWRD projects, of which 16 projects the MWRD will be responsible for. We were super excited to learn of the major support we're receiving from Cook County government and thankful for funding from the American Rescue Plan Act. The 16 projects throughout Cook County will be an investment of an approximately $18 million of federal funds. Everyone, I think we should give a round of applause for that. This $18 million will include levee improvements and flood control projects along our waterways, drainage improvements, and voluntary buyouts of flood-prone properties. Basically, it's a variety of projects in diverse locations across Cook County. Once again, we thank President Preckwinkle, the Cook County Board of Commissioners, and the county's Department of Transportation and Highways for their support in building resilience throughout Cook County, and we thank our partners in Cook County's municipalities and townships for stepping forward to make their own investments in strengthening their communities. Basically, we thank all of you here today for understanding that climate change is real, and we must prioritize stormwater management projects throughout Cook County if we're going to keep up with the heavy downpours that we're expecting to see in years to come. So thank you for understanding climate change and the need for stormwater management. It is because of these partnerships in Cook County that we are giving these residents and business owners a more promising tomorrow. So thank you all for coming out today and being so excited about these projects, as excited as we are. And at this point, I would like to welcome Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle to provide additional remarks.
There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm very grateful to be here. I want to thank President Steele and her team at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District for their partnership on this vital initiative. I'd also like to acknowledge some folks. I want to thank President Steele for acknowledging her team from MWRD. Let me acknowledge Cook County Commissioner Maggie Trevor, who will follow me, Cook County Commissioner Tara Stamps, who was already introduced to you, Jennifer Siskillen, who's Deputy Superintendent of the Cook County Department of Transportation and Highways, Maine Township Supervisor Karen Diamond, Crestwood Mayor Ken Klein, Schiller Park Mayor Nick Kayafa. Did I do that right, Nick? Yes. Where are you? Is it close? Close. Okay, good. Thank you all for being here and for your support. It's a beautiful day today, and we haven't had much rain in the past few weeks. But you don't have to look very far back to remember that flooding is a serious problem in our region. We all remember the devastating rains of last July and September that impacted some of our most vulnerable communities. Because of events like that, I'm proud to announce a $20 million investment in Stormwater Management Project Implementation Program, led by Cook County's Department of Transportation and Highways. This program is funded through the American Rescue Plan Act, focusing on supporting under-resourced communities. You know, President Biden and Congress and the American Rescue Plan Act invested a generational level of support for local government and for our residents in the United States. We haven't had this kind of federal investment since the 1930s. The city of Chicago got $2 billion, the county got $1 billion, the state of Illinois got $16 billion to invest in our residents and our communities to help us recover from the pandemic. And we are very grateful to the President and our congressional leadership for this support. To develop this program, the Stormwater Management Project Implementation Program, the Department of Transportation and Highways engaged key partners including MWRD, Cook County Department of Emergency Management and Regional Security. So there are lots of folks that collaborated to make this happen. We identified 26 critical projects throughout Cook County where funding is essential. Significant accomplishments have been achieved in flood mitigation, but there's still barriers to developing and implementing projects. These include a lack of municipal ability to identify projects, secure funding, manage engineering and construction contracts, and maintain stormwater infrastructure. This is particularly true in communities with historic disinvestment and disproportionate impacts of COVID-19. So the most marginalized communities in the county, of course, have the most difficulty in dealing with flooding and natural disasters of all kinds. And this program aims to fill that gap. This initiative aligns with Cook County's policy roadmap, which guides our ARPA allocations, our ARPA investments. Climate change will only increase the flooding risk in our neighborhoods, and this program is one of many steps Cook County is taking to enhance climate resiliency. I was talking to my brother this morning in Minnesota, and they've had 10 inches more rain than usual in Minnesota, and that's after 3 years of drought. So these incredible swings in climate impacts are going to be a challenge for us going forward wherever we are in this country. We're extremely grateful to the Biden administration, as I said, for this funding and for our partners for helping implement this much needed program. Finally, on behalf of our Cook County Commissioners, I'd like to thank Superintendent Sis Killen and her staff at our Department of Transportation and Highways for their vision and hard work in bringing this program to life. And now I'd like to bring two commissioners to the podium. First, Maggie Trevor, and then Tara Stamps.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Cook County Commissioner Maggie Trevor. I represent the 9th District, which much of my district lies along two waterways, the Des Plaines River and Salt Creek. And flooding, stormwater flooding is a major issue in my district. It's one of the most common conversations I have with municipal leaders. And it's not, stormwater management isn't something that's gets a lot of attention usually. It's not something that you can drive by like a building and see all the time. It's not high profile, but it is so important to my district. It's so important for the residents who live there, whose basements flood regularly and very often don't have, their losses are not covered fully by insurance. It's important to the businesses, it's important to the municipalities, and I am very happy to be here today to see NWRD, Cook County, invest in stormwater management, and also the federal government. I was also at a groundbreaking ceremony just last Friday in the city of Rolling Meadows for a federally funded storm management project. It's essential, especially given climate change and the increasing regularity of these flooding incidents. So I'm very happy to be here with people from my district and my colleagues on the board. So thank you. And I'd like to introduce the next speaker, which is my colleague, Commissioner Tara Stamps.
Good morning, good morning. It was just a couple of weeks last year after my appointment to Cook County 1st District, the district in which I'm honored to represent, where many homes flooded on the west side of Chicago. Many of a community that historically or has experienced historic disinvestment. And a lot of those families were elders, people who are in their homes and cannot necessarily keep up all of the maintenance and all of the investments. And to this day, and I do mean to this day, we still have families that are trying to kind of rebuild their lives after the water. So the water is a serious problem. And in the wake, and as we experience climate change, we have to, all of us, each of us, be climate change warriors, because this is the only planet that we have. That means it's up to each and every one of us to protect it and to invest in it, and to not only count on and be appreciative of the resources that are coming to these communities and so many other projects as Sis Killen just laid out for us, including project areas that I represent, but just throughout this county. So it's not just hands on deck for your elected officials, it's hands on deck for us as residents, as constituents, to do the best that we can to protect our homes and to invest in our homes in the ways that we can, and then to support our elected officials as they continue to push the investments and the monies that we are given and be in partnership with all of these different entities to make sure that we're doing the very best that we can for the people who have elected us. So I'm very honored to be here today, and I will call on the next person, which is Sis Killen, DoTH Superintendent Jennifer Sis Killen.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good afternoon. I am extremely grateful for the support of President Preckwinkle, along with the Board of Commissioners, in working with our regional and local partners to address flooding issues throughout Cook County. I am also grateful to have the opportunity to partner with President Steele's team at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District as local municipalities to bring these critical projects to fruition. Most of the flooding in Northeast Illinois is urban flooding, as opposed to river flooding or overland flow from the waterways. Common sources of urban flooding include overwhelmed storm sewer systems, lack of overland flow routes and detention basins to store that water, and also the backup of sewage into the basements of our residents. Because many funding sources are effectively restricted to properties that are located within the Federal Emergency Management Agency floodplain, there are very limited resources available to address this critical issue. The American Rescue Plan, as you had heard earlier today, presented this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to address this glaring need for so many of our communities. This program includes traditional gray water projects, such as the conveyance of water, helping water move to where it needs to go, and also storage improvements. But we also step back to address specific areas that are vulnerable to flooding, including additional funding for basement backup programs to eliminate that sewage coming into their home, voluntary flood-prone property buyouts, and the construction of stormwater storage in non-floodplain areas. This program will advance planning, preliminary engineering, design engineering, and construction for these projects. As our partner, the MWRD, as you heard, will lead 16 of the 26 proposed projects, while the county will work either directly with communities or lead those projects in-house to implement the remaining projects in this program. Making sure that we develop a pipeline of projects, those that are at different phases, positions these projects for future funding through state and federal sources. This program also aligns with project priorities in our long-range transportation plan, connecting Cook County, as you heard from President Preckwinkle. These projects will create meaningful impact for residents, businesses, and travelers in and throughout these communities. It is now my pleasure to introduce Maine Township Supervisor Karen Diamond.
Good afternoon to everyone. I first want to start out by saying I imagine some of you might wonder, where is Maine Township? It's just northwest of the city of Chicago, and we contain the communities of Des Plaines, Park Ridge, Niles, a little bit of Morton Grove, Glenview, and Rosemont. And for those of you from the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, I imagine you think of Cook County in terms of waterways. The Des Plaines River, that's where we are. The Des Plaines River cuts right through the middle of our township and has been the source of some devastation in past years. We have been really very happy to work with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. For the past 3 years, I've served as supervisor, and I've had occasion to correspond with them and meet with them periodically, and it's really been a very positive working relationship, and we're very thrilled about the improvements that we expect to be coming to Maine Township. We appreciate the funding that's coming in. Thank you, President Preckwinkle, and thank you, President Carrie Steele. I appreciate it very much, and your whole board. And also the employees of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District who do the great work that you do every day. So again, we're looking forward to these improvements coming to us soon. And right now, I will turn it over to our next speaker, who is Crestwood Mayor Ken Klein.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. The Village of Crestwood would like to thank the leadership of MWRD, President Carrie Steele, Vice President Teresa Flynn, and the hard work of their stormwater engineering team for the opportunity to reduce the risk of stormwater flooding impacts in the village. Reoccurring flooding for many years has impacted homes and roads in the Village of Crestwood and such villages as Midlothian and Bremen Township. This project began almost 10 years ago with 2 studies on the Calumet-Sag Tributary B, looking at specific areas of the waterway. Those studies identified the entire waterway needed to be examined to truly alleviate the stormwater impacts. Working together with Mayor Gary LaRue, Joe Sperry, Superintendent of Public Works, and Village of Midlothian and Supervisor Catherine Sternero, and Bremen Township, follow-up studies identified improvements that added stormwater storage, stream improvements that will improve the flow of water, address erosion concerns, and replace sewer culverts. It sounds simple, but when you look at the whole picture, it's a little uphill battle to push water downstream. This is why the planning cooperation between governmental bodies and the landowners is crucial for the success of this project. These studies identified reductions in flood elevations, benefiting dozens of homes and roads and stormwater impacts, including recurrent overtopping of Midlothian Turnpike. It is with great pleasure that we now see the studies and investment realized thanks to hard work of our partners, engineers, and MWRD to identify it, and for the construction of improvements. This collaboration amongst governments is a testament to working towards a common goal of improving the lives of those in the community. The Village of Crestwood and MWRD have worked together on several projects and worked with over 250 residents to get them out of a floodplain. We hope to keep this great achievement going in the near endeavor. The Village of Crestwood is thankful to have such wonderful partners and the dedication of MWRD to stormwater resiliency. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the Mayor Schiller Park, Mary Khalifa. Sorry, did I say that right?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm honored and excited to be here to discuss the partnership created between MWRD, Cook County, and the Village of Schiller Park. The village has had a long time flooding issue on the southeast side of town. We have applied for grants with no success. We sent a picture of the flooded area to MWRD and received a response within a month. Due to the vision of MWRD and staff, a partnership was created. MWRD reviewed our engineering to create drainage and separate stormwater from sanitary. They agreed the project would be benefit to the village and MWRD as stormwater will no longer need to be treated. We entered into an agreement that would have put a huge burden on the village finances. Cook County stepped in to cover the cost through ARPA funding. The village is grateful to the vision to both MWRD and Cook County. We cannot thank you enough for your efforts you've put into this project. Again, thank you so much.
All right, Nick, do we have questions?
Any questions?